Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo saranto suchedoye olahudi samyao sanputoshe. Wushang shen shen wei miao hua, bai qian wan jie nan zhao yu. Wo jin jian wen de shou shi, yuan jie ru lai zhen shi yi. Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Venerable Master, Dharma friends, good afternoon to all of you. Shifu Shangren, Gowei Shong Daja Om Gofo. Good evening if you're in the evening. My name is Hung Shur. I'm here in the Gold Coast of Australia, where we are currently experiencing a major rainstorm. I don't know if you all can tell, but the rain is pouring down. We're in flood conditions here in Queensland and New South Wales. The dams are overflowing. I wanted to share with you what we just saw a moment ago. Coming here when I got soaked to the bone. I'm sitting there all soaked. This is us on the way to the lecture today. Let me optimize it here. There we go. Lots of rain. So you get the idea. It's hard for humans to stay dry and function, but it's really, really hard for critters, for the animals who have adapted over the millennia, more than that, over millions of years to conditions like this. But this is a serious rainstorm. So have you come to join with me in looking into the Flower Garland Sutra's 10 Stages chapter? If you have, you're in the right place. Don't you move a dad burned inch. We're gonna turn the Dharma wheel, the Flower Garland Sutra. So here's our text today. We're gonna come back to page 82 after we do our invocation. Which comes first? By the way, happy vernal equinox. Here in Australia, it's the opposite. It's the autumnal equinox. Equinox means equal night. So the equator, the sun shines on the equator equally on this day. And it's the opposite side when we have the vernal. This is the vernal equinox, springtime, first day of spring, when night and day are equal. If you're in the northern hemisphere, for us, it's the autumnal. We're heading into autumn. Now, summer's over, first day of autumn. So that is that day. We're the opposite of the solstices. The intent of this exercise here is to reverently, sincerely invite Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the flower garland assembly, to draw near to invisibly bless everyone listening in and keep the presence of the Avatamsaka's light here in the world and in our consciousness. That's the idea. So we can put our palms together. If you're welcome, if you would like to do that, I invite you to do so. We're going to chant in Chinese. Namo Dafang Guangpo Huayan Jing Huayan Hai Wei Fei Fu Sa. One more time. Gratitude for Ashoka Banjo, the Dharma wheel installed on it. Okay, backstage. There we are. And on down to the verses. There we go. So, as people who have been following weekly will know, we are at the portion of the sutra where the teachings get sung. There we get the same Dharma repeated, but this time in verse. And the verse goes bum, 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 and there's a bit of a melody. And while I don't have the data to prove this, you can say, you don't have to be taught to know that a different part of your brain lights up when you add a melody to your language. Okay, so simply what we just did just a moment ago, Namo Dafang Guangfu Huayan Jing. As soon as you add Dee-da-dee-da-dum. We hear it with different parts of our skin, different parts of our ears, different parts of our brain, for sure. So the act of turning prose into verse and then intoning it with a melody, even if it's dee 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 da da dee da 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 dum, something as simple as that, it definitely engages a different part of our cognitive apparatus, right? Different part of who we are. So I thought to preserve that, keep the melody going. We started with the first stanza last week. This one, qi xin ji mie heng tiao shun. We started with that, but I wanted to go back and do it again so that we can get the flow of what's happening. Okay, Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva back then intoned these syllables. We here in 2021 are gonna do the same thing. Ready? Qi xin ji mie heng tiao shun. 你们 qi xin ji mie heng tiao shun. 平等无碍如虚空。平等无碍如虚空。Li go. Oops, sorry, my mistake. Get the syllables right. Li zhu go zhuo zhu yu dao. Li zhu go zhuo zhu yu dao. 此书生恒如影听。此书恒如影听。Yeah, there we go. Okay. Make sure I got it. Let's see here. That's it. It's a C. Okay. Now, let me say about the English. When we do it with these chant tones, you can fit any number of syllables in. It's not like a song verse where it has to fit bum, 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 right? We can string it out, all right? Is mind still and quiet in harmonious accord? Is mind still and quiet in harmonious accord? Unbiased, free from obstructions like infinite space. Unbiased, free from obstructions like infinite space. Without defilement or turbidity, abiding in the Tao. Without defilement or turbidity, abiding in the Tao. Let us listen now to these sublime practices. Let us listen now to these sublime practices. Good. There's something about the space of a sung line or a chanted line that goes into my mind deeper. I don't know. I hear it differently than if I were saying, is mind still in quiet and harmonious accord? It's like, okay, but is mind still and quiet in harmonious accord? It's like, yeah, I hear that. And I find that it stays with me. When I'm walking up the stairs, turning out the light and heading for sleep, it's like, dee, 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 da, da, dee, da, dum. Yeah, so there's a lot to be said for the chanting of text, sacred text. Okay, this is the introductory stanza. Coming up, we have 42. Interesting, there's 42 seems to be a number we meet a lot in Buddhism. But in this case, Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva is going to bestow the Dharma in 42 verses. They break up according to, they break down, they divide into, according to our Tang Dynasty expert, Master Chengguan, They break down into 1 introduction, 40 sequential teachings on the 10 grounds, and 1 verse of resuming, 1 verse of summary and exhortation. Okay. Now, this first one, he's talking to us. It's a kind of a invitation and also an injunction. He says what? His mind, that's minds, that S, that's a typo, scratch it. His mind is still and quiet, in harmonious accord, unbiased, free from obstructions, like infinite space, without defilement, without turbidity, and already in accord with the Tao. Listen now to these sublime practices. Now, of course, as I was reading that and preparing, I thought, wait a minute, is he talking about the Bodhisattva, or is he talking about me? How to get ready to hear the 10th stage, the stage of the Dharma cloud, the cloud of Dharma. And let's try that. If we said, my mind still and quiet, or let's say our minds still and quiet, in harmonious accord, unbiased, free from obstructions, like infinite space, free from defilement, no turbidity, settled in the Tao, we are ready to listen to these sublime practices. I kind of like that translation too. Maybe we can redo it with that. Instead of talking about the Bodhisattva, Vajra Treasury says, you guys, audience, you want to get it? You want to hear what I'm going to say? Keep your mind quiet, be in harmony, don't grab anything. Bias means stuck on one side, not being able to see the rest, not obstructed, empty like space. How is space? Space has no block, right? Nothing blocks it. No defilement, no turbidity, ready to listen to the teachings of the 10th stage. Let's listen now to these sublime practices. All right? So that's prep. What else did I have here? Yeah, number 1 is praise and exhortation, telling us to listen. 2 to 41 are sequential stages. 42 is a conclusion, and it says infinite speaking, no end, keeps on going. Okay? What do I have planned for us today? This one, this one, this one, those 3, because take a look. Here's what happens next. First stage, he's into it, right? He's already telling us the versified version of the first stage, which he's talked about before. Then, mindful requires the precepts. Second stage. Then what? Third stage. So we get 1 stanza per stage. Okay. Here's number 5, number 6, right? So you see how this is built. Okay. So what he's going to do in the next 3 verses is prepare the Bodhisattva to start out on the 10 stages. That could be us, you know, if we decide this is something we're going to do in our lifetime, we're going to turn ourselves into candidates for the 10 stages. This is the preparatory level. This is the PSAT, right? Before the SAT. All right. Ready for another chant? Let's make that bigger. Where's my hand? How do I grab it? There we go. All right. Go. Ready? 百千一劫修诸善，百千一劫修诸善，供养无量无边佛，供养无量无边佛，声闻独觉亦复然，声闻独觉亦复然，为利众生发大心，为利众生发大心。Okay. Cultivate the Siddhi-dharam, cultivating goodness for many billions of eons. Let me try that again. Cultivating goodness for many billions of eons. Cultivating goodness for many billions of eons. Making offerings to boundlessly many Buddhas. Making offerings to boundlessly many Buddhas. And to just that many voice hearers and Pratyeka Buddhas, and to just that many voice hearers and Pratyeka Buddhas, this Bodhisattva brings forth a great resolve to aid sentient beings. This Bodhisattva brings forth a great resolve to aid sentient beings. Okay, see how you just keep piling on the syllables, right? Try to meter voice hearers and Pratyeka Buddhas, right? That's those words are hard to get into the mix. So just that many voice hearers and Pratyeka Buddha. Okay, look at what matters to prepare to learn the Bodhisattva path. Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva says, you want to be a Bodhisattva? Here's how. Here's how. Oh, that reminds me. Let's see. Let's see if I happen to have this hanging around. There it is. Okay, we got it. All right. What does it take to become a bodhisattva? You have to cultivate goodness for many billions of eons. How long is an eon? 14 zeros after the one. That many years in an eon. Long time. Multiply that by 1 billion. That's how long you got to be good. How do you be good? The Chinese is xiu zhu shan, right? Cultivates all manner of goodness. And my best answer is we know how. We have to quiet our conscience if we're going to do evil, if we're going to do bad, cultivate badness, because our conscience is in there telling us, giving us good advice. We have to turn a deaf ear to it if we're going to hurt ourselves and hurt others. Kids know the difference between good and bad. And even so, we have to show kids how to do it. We do teach by example. I remember the schools at City of 10,000 Buddhas are cultivating goodness and instilling goodness and cultivating virtue, right? Those schools in the Ukiah Valley were unique for years. I don't know, there may be more schools now. 玉良小学配的中学，对了, yeah. They were alone in Ukiah Valley for years in that they were gender segregated. Now for elementary grades, some classes are taught together. But more important than that was kids were not allowed to bring video games or any kind of electronic item, including iPods, to school. And if they boarded at the school, they couldn't use them at all, right? So kids grew up, once they entered the ecosystem of Master Xuanhua's educational structures, education for inherent wisdom, education for traditional values, right? Once a kid entered that ecosystem, they saw examples of being good and didn't see popular entertainment's examples of being bad, such as, CSI Miami, where you pursue criminals and a helicopter shows cars trying to get run away from the police, right? They didn't see bad examples. They saw and heard positive examples. And what happens when a kid is shown Kalyana Mitra, good and wise advisors, and not shown bad friends, right? Story. A young woman grew up in our school, our Sunday school at Berkeley. Berkeley had Great Strength Academy. 世智学院. Great Strength Academy was our Sunday school on Saturday night for years and years. We haven't done it for a while because all our kids grew up and went off to college, grad school. And you can't snap your fingers and tell parents to make a new set of kids, mostly. So, okay, we had for years, I would lecture on the sutra in the Buddha Hall, and the young people would be back in the dining room with our volunteer teaching staff. Then at the end, at 9 o'clock, they would come out and we would all listen to stories. It was story time. Some of my happiest Saturday nights of my life was telling stories to young people. So one of the young women who grew up in that, in our group, because her parents were good disciples, went to public school Monday to Friday. And I remember her mom coming in and complaining to the monks that her daughter was spending all her time with magazines that talked about boy bands. She was hung up on One Direction and the Jonas Brothers, and she was spending her time on the telephone, constantly talking on the phone about lipstick and about clothes and how she had to wear things at school that she would never wear otherwise. And as soon as she got home, she put on the clothes that she saw in the magazines. And the mom was complaining that her daughter had gone from like being a little girl to being a dateable hot chick in about 6 months, and she said, I feel like I'm losing touch with my daughter. So we said, well, have you considered sending her to school at City of 10,000 Buddhas? And she said, well, I know she doesn't want to go because the reputation is it's no fun. You have to discipline, I said, look at the result of public school on your daughter. She said, yeah. So she did indeed she and her husband got together and went up to the city and talked to the nuns and said, could we send our daughter to your school? And the girl on her own came to us and said, you can't make me, my mother wants to send me to that awful place. That's awful. We said, not so awful. You might think so, but maybe you don't want to trust those voices you're hearing telling you that this is awful. Give it a chance. See what you think, right? So kicking and screaming, they sent daughter off to boarding school at City of 10,000 Buddhas. And we didn't hear from them for a while because they would only see their daughter on weekends, and they would drive up to hear the Dharma and visit the school. And so 6 months later, the mom was in making an offering. We said, well, how's it going with your daughter? She said, you know what? She came back for winter break. She had a stack of 6 books, and she brought them in. She went upstairs, closed the door to her room. We didn't hear anything from her. I went up because I peeked in, and she was lying on her bed on her back with a book like this. And she had her bookmark in 3 other books. She's learning to read on her own. She wants to. This is fun. She said, thank you. Thank you. I said, yeah, well, does she get on the phone? She said, no, she hasn't called her girlfriends. She doesn't want, she has reading to do that she's enjoying. She doesn't read the girl magazine, the boy band magazines anymore, right? So, okay. So the Bodhisattva cultivates goodness for billions of eons. How does he do it? We have it in us. We have that conscience alive, but it has to be modeled. 以身作则 is what we say in Chinese. You have to show. You can't tell. As soon as you tell a kid to be good like this, maybe they will in front of your face, but as soon as you turn your back, right? If they don't see you doing it, forget it. It's a lost cause. However, if a kid sees their parents doing good, being good, they get the message. And they may, if it was me, I would have said, no, it's corny, it's like fuddy-duddy, goody two-shoes. I didn't want to be good. I wanted to be bad. I wanted to be James Bond growing up because that's the models I saw. John Wayne would have been okay too. Or Harvey Keene, the hard-hitting right fielder for the Detroit Tigers. I wanted to be Harvey Keene also. I don't know whether Harvey Keene's character was good or bad. He was on a pedestal. He was my hero. Harvey Keene and Rocky Colavito. Played right field for the Cleveland Indians. Oh my goodness, those were my heroes. Nothing to do with being good. I went to public school, right? So, all right. So I remember in the boys' school, there was a question about a young man. One of the things that our school really, really had to be careful about was helicopter parents who were so busy making $1 million, they didn't have time for their children. They heard about our school. Oh, great, perfect. I'll send my kid to Ukiah and I'll see him twice a year, and that's that. My kid's not very well behaved. They'll straighten him out. I'll give him to the Buddhists and they'll straighten him out, right? Parents who had essentially never tried to be a positive influence for their kids. Instead, they just kind of let them be raised by television, so or video games, right? So we would, for a while, we would get these kids who had never ever been told no in their whole lives, and of course, there were issues. They had to learn filiality first of all. And if they'd never seen their parents just basically gave them to the video game to raise, Hi, everybody. I think we're back. Okay. What happened? Our storm has taken down the internet. Luckily, we had an option. Jerry, is all good? Yes. Okay. Sorry about that. We are in flood conditions, and I think probably everybody lost the internet in our neighborhood, but we had a backup. Okay, my story continues. There was a young boy in San Jose. It's considered to be a 问题儿童, a troubled child. As my colleague Marty likes to say, there are no troubled children. There are only children in trouble. So this young man was famous for being unfilial, fighting with his father, and he was crying out for more attention from adults, right? So his parents brought him up to school to enroll in, and ordinarily we would have said, let's try 6 months. You parents, if you really want to enroll your kid in our school, you take care of him for 6 months and give him some break-in time. We are not a therapy. We don't have a therapy role for family healing. We are an educational institution. Okay, so somebody said, this young man has a good heart, give him a chance, and convinced the admissions committee to let him in against other people's best advice. So I remember seeing that happen. And sure enough, the first couple of days, the kid pushed other children, his classmates and stuff. And there's I forget who was the individual whose voice carried, but they said, give him a chance. Give him a chance. He'll come around. He just needs a chance. And so 6 months later, I remember on a Saturday, I was at CTTB to give the lecture, and it was lunchtime. And here came the schoolboys, and they came in line to lunch, and lunch is done in buffet style with cafeteria type counters. So with a sliding shelf that you take your big tray and slide it along. And I was looking to see whether this young man, he was really tall, or whether he had maybe not made the cut, right? But there he was, in fact. And I watched, and what did he have? He had a little boy in front of him who was so short that he could barely see into the glass window to see what was available in the food trays. And the big trouble kid picked him up so he could look, said, you want some of that? Set him down. Okay, how about this? Picked him up so he could see. And he had a little brother that he was helping go through the food line. And I said, well, how's he doing, this young man? And they said, wow, as soon as he saw Shifu being filial, and he heard the teachings, he said, about filiality, repaying kindness, he turned around. And he's now the best big brother we have to all the young ones. So show kids examples of goodness. And it's the rare child who won't be able to find their conscience, that yangxin, right? We've got it in us. And in fact, we have to stop listening to it before we go off and do things that harm ourselves and harm others. So our Bodhisattva, right? He cultivates goodness for billions of eons. And look what else he does. He learns generosity. He makes offerings to boundlessly many Buddhas and to just that many, boundlessly many voice hearers and Pratyeka Buddhas. And that is what creates the Bodhi Resolve. He brings forth a great resolve to aid sentient beings. His thought is, I want to help. Okay, where are we? This is prep. This is before the first stage. He hasn't gotten to the stage of happiness yet, right? So brings forth a great resolve from being good, right? From being good and making offerings, being generous to sages, seeing what does it mean to make offerings to Buddhas and the voice hearers and Pratyeka Buddhas. These, what's a voice hearer? Shravaka, sound hearer, used to say. They hear the Wen Fo Sheng Er Wu Dao, right? They hear the Buddha's voice and awaken to the way. That's what a voice hearer is. Pratyeka Buddha is a solitary Buddha. The three of them, Buddhas, Pratyeka Buddhas, voice hearers, are sages. They've already put an end to birth and death. Samsara has ended for them. And this Bodhisattva to be, right? This future Bodhisattva who hasn't even entered, he's still an applicant, you could say, in the path. He has seen them and makes offerings to them. Now, what does that mean? To get a specific point-for-point answer, we go to Samantabhadra, Bodhisattva. Samantabhadra says, yeah, you can give incense, you can give fruit. You got a lot of, this is mango season. Mango season is pretty much just over here. Give, apples if you like. You can give lights, lamps, candles, electric lights to illuminate the monastery or your altar or your reading table or your study table. Lamps, right? You can give garments, robes, give food, give pure water. Those are all perfectly good offerings. Flowers, music, right? Anybody can give them. You don't need to be a wealthy person to offer a flower to the Buddha. So most of the offerings that I just mentioned come from nature, and poor folks can give perfectly that way, as well as wealthy people, right? So these offerings don't require great wealth. Of course, if you are a person of means and you want to give massive, spectacular offerings, can. It's not more valuable if it costs more or if it's rare, right? So that's one thing the Bodhisattva appreciates in making offerings to Buddhas. But Samantabhadra says there are other kinds of offerings that are actually more valuable. He says, 主供养中法供养最. Of all the different kinds of things you can give as offerings, the giving of Dharma is the most valuable. That's what it says. Now, what is the giving of Dharma? Oh boy, giving of Dharma is cultivating the teaching, right? Is 如法修行, correct? 以教奉行, doing what the teachings say, right? That's one. Another really, really good offering is to change my behavior. If I can actually become better, a better person because I'm inspired by the Buddha, that's a huge offering. To get rid of bad habits, right? Recognizing that I'm in the habit of using 4-letter words, stopping it, right? Making my speech nothing that my grandmother would be shocked by, or my mother, right? What a gift. Incredible. You just get rid of it. Who needs the F word? Who needs profanity? Does it make your understanding of people understand you better if you lard on all kinds of dirty language, right? Don't need it, right? So there's one, that's an example. Or for example, putting stuff in my body that actually hurts me, like tobacco, alcohol, substances, right? Drugs. Don't need them to live very well, skillfully. So those are examples of an offering to the Buddha. What else? Never forgetting your Bodhi Resolve, says Samantabhadra, is a really, really good offering. And so how interesting, right? The problem is what? Those things are hard. It's hard to look at yourself right in the face and say, I got to change that. That's not my best. Being scattered, not focusing. You're never gonna change if you can't focus, right? So these are called giving of Dharma. That's the best kind of offering. That's what the Buddha means when he says, "Zhu Gongyang, Zhong Fa Gongyang." So the gift of Dharma is the highest kind. So that's neat. That's neat. Again, if you're a parent, right, and you tell your kid, "Do what I say, not what I do." If instead you do it exactly opposite, if you do what you do righteously, you don't have to say anything about it. Kid gets it. It's monkey see, monkey do. Right? So cultivating goodness for many billions of eons, making offerings to boundlessly many Buddhas. Furthermore, there's something else too. When we're social beings, the pandemic and its quarantine has taught us that lesson, by golly. And when somebody does what the Bodhisattva is doing here in preparation for walking the path, when somebody is generous, when somebody does this, goes out of their way to be kind, it makes ripples. It influences everyone who hears of that act of goodness. It just makes such a difference. Got an example for you. Here we go. Let's see now. I hope my network is strong enough to allow me to do this.
Time of year, we spend a lot of time and money trying to find the right gifts for people.
But in a tiny Indiana community, one boy got the perfect gift, one he wasn't even expecting, came from a complete stranger. Brad Underwood has that story.
As the saying goes, in 49 states, it's just basketball. But this is Indiana.
It's hard to explain how much I love it. It's like really my passion.
Elijah Maines loves basketball so much, it doesn't matter that his hoop was rusty with a bent rim. The shots keep coming.
He's been doing this since he was a baby. He absolutely loves it.
The key words are, was rusty. Elijah's mom, Kalito Wheeler, came home to an unexpected delivery on her front porch recently. Waiting to be found, a brand new Spalding basketball, an instruction manual for a basketball hoop, and a note on a FedEx ticket.
Just wanted you and your son to have the best hoop that will grow with him and all of his friends. It's wonderful to see you guys shoot hoops with him. I started to cry. I mean, that was my first reaction because it was such a random act of kindness that is so hard to find right now with everything going on.
On the manual, another note signed,
"Take care, Aubrey. Just one of your FedEx drivers for the area."
A couple of days later, Aubrey came back with sandbags to secure the post.
Honestly, like really thankful. Like I love it. I like playing on it. Like I'll ask at night to go out and shoot on it.
Wheeler posted about the random act of kindness on Facebook. As you can imagine, it's been shared quite a few times. And the day before Thanksgiving, Aubrey came back again. She and Elijah played ball this time. As for who won?
We all won technically.
Certainly, a feeling Mom has too.
It's been really hard on everybody this year. So for her to do that, I was in wow and I was in awe. I was almost kind of speechless at first.
In Franklin County, Indiana, Brad Underwood, Local 12 News.
There's nothing better he could have gotten.
I know. And this time of the year, when you see those stories like that,
Yeah.
with those random acts of kindness, and it just completely made his day, made his world.
My
you know?
FedEx driver's really nice to the dogs.
Yeah?
They're great people.
Well,
They
that's
bring
something.
gifts to the door.
Absolutely.
So, random acts of kindness make ripples. And when we hear about it, we think, I bet I can remember acts of kindness done for me. Maybe not by a stranger. I noticed that Audrey, the FedEx driver, didn't show her face in the video. And I'm sure they reached out to her, but she wanted this to be genuine goodness. Sherpa would say, good done for others to see is not real goodness, right? If you're hoping to get a reputation as a benefactor, philanthropist, you lose some of the power of the goodness. But this FedEx driver just loved basketball and loved kids, and made a gift that we're still hearing about, right? So definitely, this is the kind of goodness that the Bodhisattva needs to do in order to kind of open up his or her nature in preparation for entering the first stage, right? So, question. When we practice goodness, when we give, what does that do to us, the giver? Interesting, huh? It's like if you start out with a side yard, maybe across the street from your house, maybe right next door, maybe it's your backyard, and nothing has been done to it, the ground is hard. And when it rains, the water kind of runs off, weeds grow, maybe there's broken glass, some sticks, lots of rocks. If we want to turn that piece of ground, that piece of earth, into a garden to grow food or fruits or create a beautiful, serene space, what do we have to do? We have to break it up. We have to aerate the land. We have to, the technical word is till the soil, T-I-L-L, right? Gong, ching gong, you know, we have to break it up. And the big chunks become small chunks, and the small chunks become topsoil. When we add amendments, we add some fertilizer and some potassium, and then water it, right? And now, any seed that we put there, be it sod or be it grass or be it tree seedlings or be it, you know, tomato vines, whatever it is, it'll grow there because the land has been prepared. If we talk about the Bodhisattva as having a Xin Di, the ground of the mind, this preparation, this giving is doing the very same thing as the rototiller and the pick and the pitchfork and the shovel for the gardener, right? It's preparing the ground. That's why of the paramitas, the practices of a bodhisattva, giving generosity is the first one, and precepts is the second. Ethical behavior, a moral code. Ready? Number 3 today. Here we go. Jing qin chi jie chang rou ren. Jing qin chi jie chang rou ren. San hui fu zhi jie ju zu. San hui fu zhi jie ju zu. 知求佛智修光慧，知求佛智修光慧，愿得十力发大心， 人的势力发达心。He diligently holds the precepts. He is always gentle and patient. Diligently holds the precepts. He is always gentle and patient. He is replete with shame, remorse, blessings, and wisdom. He is replete with shame, remorse, blessings, and wisdom. Seeking the Buddha's wisdom, he cultivates vast knowledge. Seeking the Buddha's wisdom, he cultivates vast knowledge. To achieve the 10 powers, he brings forth a great resolve. To achieve the 10 powers, he brings forth a great resolve. And that pronoun, the he, could be a she. This is, you could add the S, it's no different. Absolutely identical content. Okay, next, he diligently holds the precepts. He's gentle and patient. He's full of shame, remorse, blessings, and wisdom. What does that sound like? Does that sound like John Wayne? Like a macho guy? Does that sound like, you know, Shaft? He's a bad motherfletcher. We know about Shaft, right? Richard Roundtree, the original Shaft. Oh my. He was the Black James Bond. And just as unscrupulous, right? No one understands him but his baby, right? Diligently holds the precepts, generally. So what examples do we put in front of young people? Somebody who doesn't understand himself at all, but his baby does. So it's like, we need to plow that ground a little more there, Shaft. So at least you have a clue what's going on. You got a better chance of surviving that way. You don't have to blow people away to justify your existence. So diligently holding the precepts, gentle and patient. Okay, does this fit with our model of masculinity? I hope so, because we have a lot of examples of toxic masculinity. If in order for me to be a male adult in the world, I have to kill others, for me to exist, you need to die. Toxic, meaning poisonous. Toxins are poisons. They will destroy your system. Now, America is rocking and shocked by toxic masculinity. Some young man whose solution for surviving in the world is to destroy life, right? That's his decision. I'm going to kill because why? I can't live without it. I can't make sense of my life without making sure that others die. It's like you go, no, bad model. Nope, doesn't work. That is an unsuccessful example of humanity. Got to do it better. Got to do it different than that. A zero-sum game. In order for me to get through the day, I need to kill you. I need to make sure you stop for me to go on. It's like toxic, unsuccessful. No, try again. Go back to go sit in the corner, young man. We will come and talk to you and listen to you. Maybe give you all the hugs you need while you spit out the poison that you are holding in your system, right? Because humanity won't survive if the only way to live is to make sure others die. That's unsuccessful model. That's not the way nature does forests, for example, or gardens. How does nature do a garden? Anything you plant will grow together, right? Companion planting guarantees that both plants thrive. You have tomatoes on stakes and you plant beans right underneath them. The beans climb up along with the tomatoes, right? Squash and corn do very well together, right? So you have squash and corn and beans. You have the three sisters, which were the staples of Native American agriculture. That's how Native American wisdom grew, was through basing their nutrition on squash and corn and beans. They didn't live on venison, right? They didn't kill deer in order to feed the whole village. They grew plants in the earth that grew together in harmony, right? So nature does it that way. How come humanity, particularly white Europeans, didn't get that message, so that in order to make sense out of their masculinity, others have to suffer and can die at the pulling of a trigger of a semi-automatic handgun? Some of the education is missing there. Some of the role model teaching by example of masculinity needs to be done over, right? Because that's an unsuccessful, toxic example. It's poisonous. So here I'm going to say is an alternative. How would the Buddha say we should grow if we are, let's say we're men. Here it is, he is gentle. Females as well, in terms of adults passing it on to young people. In this case, the Buddha is the ultimate adult. And he's raising his students, his pupils, his followers, bodhisattvas. Here's the model he gives them. He says, hold the precepts. Don't kill, foster life. Don't steal, be generous. Don't cheat on your vows, cherish relationships. Don't lie, cherish the truth. Don't put substances in your system, in your bloodstream, that are going to confuse you. Don't use intoxicants. Hold the precepts. Things go better when we do, right? That's a model that we can sustain, that ennobles humanity and benefits everything that humans touch. Our anthropocentric humans in the middle, everyone else, never mind, that world has produced here in Australia the worst record for species extinction on the planet. I read the other day that in the last 50 years, since, how do you count them? Since the 70s, 50% of the other species on the planet have gone extinct because of humanity. This is called the Anthropocene, the era of the human, and talk about toxic. Never mind male, just we humans, both genders, have solved our issues by destroying life. Australia, white people have only been here for a couple centuries, right? And the worst record for making species extinct. Now, as a blessing, there are movements around Australia to preserve the last remnants, bilbies. There's a bilby foundation here in Queensland, out in the west, that is building pens to keep bilbies on the planet. They're trying, they have a goal of how many bilbies are little, kind of like rabbits, like big, they're like large, they're not like rats. Rabbits is the closest. And when the white man arrived, bilbies were, you could see them everywhere. They would stand and stare, but their fur is warm and they're easily caught and you can eat them. There are very few left now. So they're trying, they have a target of 100,000 breeding pairs before bilbies are back, right? So another ones are dingoes. Dingoes are being preserved by the Australian Dingo Foundation down in Victoria, north of Melbourne. And Lynn Watson and her late husband have, I think, up to 40 purebred dingoes. They've done the DNA research and found that they are of the 3 types of dingoes that exist on the planet. In Australia, they've got examples of all 3, the alpine and the southern dingo and the third. And we've been to visit them multiple times. Every chance we get down in Melbourne, we go visit the Australian Dingo Foundation. And what you see is these intelligent and social and friendly and beautiful Canis dingo. They're a unique, special kind of dog. They're not wolves. It's not Canis lupus dingo. It's Canis dingo is the actual classification. And they are not what popular culture would call them, or what the sheep farmers would have you believe, that the dingo needs to be exterminated because they kill sheep and they harm the sheep farmer. They don't. They can't digest the fat in sheep. And dingoes are the apex predator in Australia. When they are removed, and they've nearly been poisoned to extinction in certain places, it's close. When they're removed, feral cats take over, rabbits take over, and the nature goes out of balance. Reintroduce the dingo into the ecosystem, and everything is controlled. And rabbits don't multiply beyond counting, and feral cats don't kill all the birds because the dingoes keep them under control, right? And dingoes are brilliant animals. They're just, I've looked into the eyes of a dingo that was licking my face and seen this intelligent, wild creature. They don't make pets. Dingoes don't domesticate, right? But they are superb animals, perfectly attuned to the landscape in Australia. And humanity, some kind-hearted humans have done their best to preserve dingoes and keep them on the planet so they don't disappear. I'm going to, this is a shout out. Australian Dingo Foundation. I'm very much committed to doing what I can to keep dingoes in the world, and so that they don't get poisoned from helicopters by people for economic reasons. Just fence in your sheep and the dingoes will be fine. Here it is. This is the Australian Dingo Foundation. Lynn Watson is heroically trying to keep things going. Her husband, Peter, had a heart attack not long ago. Here are, in the spring, the puppies arrive, and people in Victoria book a chance to go down and cuddle with a dingo puppy. So if you hear dingoes ate my baby, and this kind of slanderous stuff, that's hate speech. And it doesn't deserve, dingoes don't deserve it. So there you go. I'll pop that in our chat. Maybe pass it on to YouTube as well. Here we go. dingofoundation.org. All right. So, replete with shame, remorse, blessings, and wisdom. Humanity, particularly the male half, the more we are replete with shame, remorse, blessings, and wisdom, the longer the planet will survive. If we are not replete with those things, if we let toxic masculinity and macho aggression and meanness and hardness dominate, we will consume the planet and wind up hating each other. Seeking the Buddha's wisdom, we cultivate vast knowledge. Look at this. To achieve the 10 powers, he brings forth a great resolve. 10 powers, that's a goal for cultivating the Bodhisattva path. What are they? They are methods to teach, methods for teaching living beings. And if you have the 10 powers, you know how to teach. Things you say, your kids will listen. All right, let's do one more in the time we got. I said we're going to do 3. Here we go. San Shi Zhu Fo Xian. What was that? Was that instructions, Jerry? No? Okay, here we go. San Shi Zhu Fo Xian Gong Yang. San Shi Zhu Fo Xian Gong Yang. Yi Che Guo Du Xi Yan Jing. Yi Che Guo Du Xi Yan Jing. Miao Zhi Zhu Fa Jie Ping Deng. Miao Zhi Zhu Fa Jie Ping Deng. Wei Li Zhong Sheng Fa Da Xin. Wei Li Zhong Sheng Fa Da Xin. Got it. Okay. He makes offerings to Buddhas in 3 periods of time. He makes offerings to Buddhas in 3 periods of time, establishing each land, making it immaculate. Establishing each land, making it immaculate, comprehending how dharmas share an impartial unity. Comprehending how dharmas share an impartial unity. To aid sentient beings, he brings forth a great resolve. To aid sentient beings, he brings forth a great resolve. Okay, now that initial offering to Buddhas, Arhats, Pratyeka Buddhas, has now expanded. He makes offerings to Buddhas of the past, the present, and the future. Wow, he's just letting go all the things that he used to hang on to, that she used to hang on to, in order to seek the Dharma. Establishing a land, making it immaculate. Look at that, Buddha lands. She transfers all of her merit and virtue from cultivating to a pure land, right? What do? We say, when it's not COVID time, we say, Yuan yi ci gong de zhuang yan fo jing du, right? May every living being, our minds is one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. Transferring merit to create your own pure land. Did that connect the dot for anybody? It did for me at one point. I never, we just, we said that. We never thought, oh, Zhuangyan Fo Jingdu. Am I making a Buddha land? The answer is, if you want to. That's a perfect place to transfer merit. Amitabha Buddha created the land of utmost happiness with every transference he did over the eons that he was Dhammakara, Fazang, Bicho. Pure lands are made by people now who transfer merit to them, to their creation in the future. So get to work, right? He establishes every land, making it immaculate. Okay, that is Shi Yanjing, fully adorned and pure, right? He wants it to be, you say, perfect. Perfect. Just right, right? And then look at this line. This is really a powerful one. Our Bodhisattva now has covered some ground. In his career of cultivation, they progressed so they can 了知诸法皆平等. They can understand how all dharmas are the same. Say, it's not true. How can dharmas be the same? Chocolate is not. Chocolate is not hot pepper, right? Potato chips are not mashed potatoes, right? Not on the surface. But dharmas, everything in the world does share a unity. They're the same in what? They are created from conditions. They are transient. All dharmas, everything in the world passes through, doesn't stay, right? Wuchang, every single dharma in the world, they say, doesn't hit the spot. Cool, right? They are, it's a bad translation to say all dharmas are suffering. No, they're not. All dharmas don't satisfy. They are unsatisfactory because you get the one that you thought was the last, the only one you needed, didn't last, didn't hit the spot, right? All things are that way. What else are they? Kong, wuchang, ku kong, right? Ku kong. They are empty of any ultimate identity. You can't get any single dharma. They're kong, empty. They empty out. You got it, right? I'm drinking a cup of dongding oolong tea, and then after it's gone, guess what? Thirsty again. I thought I had the ultimate cup of dongding, but it's gone. And I need to do it again. I need to make some more, right? They're empty. And furthermore, what is the impartial unity of all dharmas? Look past the surface and you'll discover Wu Wo. They are not self. They are, you can't set up an identity in any single thing, right? So what would be one of the most transient identities? Political parties. There you go. Even national identity. Look at your passport. The current passport you have, is it an Australian passport? Is it a Singaporean passport? Taiwanese passport? Chinese passport? Your picture's there, your name is there, but what in that passport booklet is ultimately Chinese, is ultimately Canadian, is ultimately Brazilian? Not a single thing. Those are labels. Wu Wo. The self, the me that I think I am, is a label, right? It's not really true. Ultimately, all dharmas are transient. They don't satisfy. You can't get at them, and there's nothing about them that holds an identity that you can cling to and find yourself. Can't find yourself in dharmas. So this bodhisattva at this point has been doing what? He or she has been emptying out self and emptying out dharmas. That's an active verb. Ku, that's 就空, say, 我空法空, they say. Can't find the self, can't find the dharmas. They keep moving, they keep transforming. Energy to matter, matter to energy. Just like Newton said, right? Transformation of matter and energy. It's true. Those Newtonian physics laws came out of the Dharma, right? So finally, the Bodhisattva says, yes, I am this way. Furthermore, my mom is that way too. My grandmom is that way too. And her grandmom were all that way. Now that I've awakened to the fact that that the world doesn't pay, you're never going to find satisfaction in the world. I want to wake others up to that so we don't keep throwing our lives away pursuing stuff. The poet Gary Snyder says they traded all their priceless time for things. That's living beings, right? So wake up. He brings forth a great resolve to help living beings grab the Dharma, understand it, and wake up. Bravo. Go Bodhisattva. What happens next? She is ready for the first stage. They're ready now. Ready. This was the preparation for getting to the 10 stages. All this stuff were the requirement to get to the 10 stages, right? Preparatory. Okay. By golly. Yeah, there we go. Hey, take a look at what's happening at Berkeley BBM. Look what we got. We got, and blow that up a little bit. We have a Guanyin Bodhisattva mural being erected on the north side, the McKinley, the Bancroft Avenue side. 9 huge panels that go together like this.
So this is how they can take out the panels of the mural. So they slide in to the back. They're very creative.
You're hearing the voice of Jin Chuan Shi, who made this video on his phone. So they have a church. They've got a big red and white church that's been there for over 115 years now. And it had that big white wall. We took down the cross. There was a giant Christian cross there, Protestant cross, not a Catholic cross. And we took that down in 1995, and the wall was blank all this time. Listen to, this is Nam Nguyen and his son Michael, who are putting this together. Listen to what Nam has to say.
We'll get to the next 3.
Yeah.
We will get the next 3 pieces. And this usher,
Yeah.
this is amazing. All the children and all the people who come over, who passing by, everyone stop by and oh, how beautiful it is. And they want to know who the artist is. And I say, see over here for the grand opening. So, and the children, they already caught on with counting the number of animals.
Oh.
So this is a great project for benefit for all the children, and everyone come by here, they thanks us for putting it up, for having it here.
Yeah.
So this is I would say the excellent, great idea for the project and for the community.
Okay.
An excellent idea for the monastery, for the project, and for the community. Says Nam, this is where they are at this point. This is how it's, oh, make it bigger, please. You see Guanyin here. See all the animals, kitty cats, squirrels. Here's a squirrel, fish, swans, ducks, cows, rabbits, pigs, butterflies, egrets, owls, turtles, right? Dragonflies, lots, yeah, and Guanyin in the middle. And this is a school bus stop as well. Kids wait here on the corner. So there's another 3 panels that have to go above this. This is not even the whole thing. But this is a progress report. This is where we are at this point. So yeah, very cool how this is coming together.
This is Joshua.
Hey, Joshua.
Helping with the mural project with Nam.
All right. That's happening. We're happy about that. Okay. And one more here, then we'll be done. I wanted to share with you all some stories from Good Karma Music. Okay. Everybody go out to Dharma Radio. www.dharma dharmaradio.org. Did I spell it right? Drama. Nope, I didn't spell it right. www.dharmaradio. Spell it wrong again. dharmaradio.org. There we go. dharmaradio.org. Go out there, and when you get there, you find this. This is what you find, Dharma Radio Project. And you see Good Karma Music. You want to click on Good Karma Music. And that says, if you do a good deed, however you imagine your good deed to be, and tell us what it is, and share your story, you can pick from Paramita, Buddha Stories for Awakening, or Dharma Radio. Here's the form for sending in your, it's very simple. What did you do? What was your good deed? And we get your story. Thomas in Hong Kong said, purify. That's pretty essential. That's pure, right? Down to the essence. That's a good deed. Good. 2021. Okay, Cliff, you read this for me, please. You'll read it much. Can you see it? 看得到吗? Okay, 好，你念的比我顺。喜汉人事实 What is a 喜汉人事实? Homeless? Homeless, maybe. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, great. Thank you. So it's a story about a friend in Taiwan who donated money to fix the windows on the home of someone who couldn't do it themselves. And now they're out of the wind and the rain, and the person hopes that everybody will have a safe place to live. Here we are from Shenyang. 我已经每天念金刚经和地藏经并回向给尽虚空变法界坚持8年了。这是原本根本无法想象的人物，希望可以生生世世做下去。A friend from Shenyang says that they recite the Vajra Sutra and the Restore Sutra every day and transfer to all living beings throughout the Dharma realm and empty space. And I've been doing it for half a year now. This was something that in my life would have been impossible, inconceivable just a little while ago. Now I hope I can do it in life after life. That's a good deed. We definitely will send you music for that. Okay, another one from China in English. There are people in the world who are sick but can't afford medical expenses. My father had that problem 2 years ago, but we got help from people. Before that, I donated money when I saw somebody asking for help on the internet. After that, as long as I see somebody asking for help, I will definitely donate, no matter how much money I can help. I've been helped by others, but I also know the despair and helplessness of people who are sick but eager to use money to treat the disease. That's a good deed, donating to sick people. Thank you. From Shanxi, this is far western, northwestern China. Okay, what do we have? We have good karma music stories. Those are examples of people who took the chance to do a good deed for music, doing some good karma, and we're happy to donate the music. You donate your good deed, the ripples go out into the world. All right, lovely, good stuff. Okay, that's it from me for today on Avatamsaka 10 stages verses. Jinchuan, Jinwei Shi, do you have announcements for us from Berkeley? Anything going on?
Just one. We have the memorial service for Zhao Mama tomorrow, Sunday, 3 p.m. 所以我们明天3点钟有仪式为那个赵妈妈 Elder Zhao. So still using the same Zoom link as berkeleymonastery.org. We didn't put, it's not a public event because it's a memorial service, but I know many people in our community know of her, and so you can join.
Okay, my browser is goofing because of the there we go. That's what we want. Okay, my connection is unstable, it says. Yeah. Do you want to make a comment on that's past? Let's see.
It's past. Yeah, we should probably take that down.
Yeah. Okay. So tomorrow is a funeral, private funeral. Otherwise, everything on Dharma Radio is the same.
Yeah.
Great. Did you want to add anything about the mural that I just showed those photos? Was there anything more or not?
I think you pretty much shared all of it, but I can see they're going to try to finish it tomorrow. They put the other level on top, and it's it definitely adds another ambiance to the neighborhood. You walk down and all of a sudden you can't miss it because you just walk down and it's just that white side of the monastery. So, and it's so colorful, your eyes immediately go to it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Excellent. Can we get the totals? How many folks are joining us today? And we will, at the same time, get ready to sing our, let's see, 157 friends on YouTube, 75 on the Chinese channel, and the rain has stopped falling for the moment. Here, it's, gee, that did some damage, I'm afraid. There was too much water falling out of the sky. Okay, we need our medicine Buddha mantra coming up. There it is. And we need all of you who are willing to do so to send out a wish for goodness. The dedication of merit depends on everyone participating. That's where Pure Lands come from. Now is the time, right? To make that wish and send out your best thoughts for a world that you want to create. Sangate Samyak Sambuddhaya Sugyata Asaji 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 Sangate Swaha. Now, one of the things that I mentioned was this is we've been through the preparation for a Bodhisattva, and we have a wonderful song that Brian Conroy put together called When I Grow Up, I Want to Be a Bodhisattva. We didn't have time today to share this song, but we will in the weeks to come, because this is how to be a bodhisattva. When I was young, my mama said to me, son, when you grow up, what do you want to be? She said, choose carefully. Remember what I taught you. I said, when I grow up, I want to be a bodhisattva. When I grow up, I want to be a bodhisattva. I'm going to make the Bodhi Resolve. When living beings can evolve, I'm going to make the Bodhi Resolve. When I grow up, I want to be a bodhisattva. We'll share that with everybody next week. All right. Got my little handbell. I ring it 3 times. We can make 3 bows, 3 half bows from where you are, 3 full bows. Then we'll bow to Master Hua. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. See you all next week. Stay safe and work.